Ladies and gentlemen, Meghan Markle's attempts to market as ever continue to be laughably bad. The latest example appears to be an attempt at a summer-themed response, but there is a lot to unpack. Meghan Markle is also seemingly teasing a return to the UK, while her Father's Day post has drawn criticism for suggesting that a father would want a burnt croissant for the occasion. It simply does not make much sense when many people would expect a more traditional breakfast, such as bacon and eggs. There are also new promotional images showing Meghan doing her hair and walking around with a basket of vegetables, yet as ever products are still nowhere to be seen. One photo shows her tying an apron while appearing to stare down at the floor for no obvious reason. Overall, the campaign continues to look poorly executed, and as ever appears to decline, Meghan may need to find a stronger way to market the brand. Otherwise, she could soon be left with excess inventory that she cannot sell. I end today's video. We will discuss the latest as ever controversies and promotional missteps. If you are new to Royal News Network, my name is Brittany, and I provide royal commentary. Please subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you back. Today's video is sponsored by Tups & Company. As I get older, I have become more conscious about what I put on my skin. My face is not only the first thing viewers see in a video, but it is also one of the first things people notice in real life. I want to keep my skin healthy by using clean products with nourishing ingredients. Tups & Company is different from many trendy skincare brands that use ingredients you cannot even pronounce. Their products focus on real, nourishing ingredients that support your skin. Today, I am using their vitamin C serum as a morning boost for the skin, followed by the Glow Serum, which acts as a healing serum. It contains vitamin-rich oils, including helichrysum, and helps nourish dry, aging, or damaged skin while locking in moisture and protecting against pollutants. I am also using the frankincense face balm, which feels rich and is packed with great ingredients, along with their cream cheek tint. My makeup sits much better because of the skincare products from Tups & Company, and it is great to know that the ingredients are easy to recognize. If you are tired of wondering whether your skincare is affecting your hormones or adding to your body's toxic load, this may be a good time to make a switch. To simplify your routine and feel better about what you are putting on your skin, visit tubesanco.com/royal. They are offering listeners 25% off their first order with the code ROYAL. Thank you so much to Tups & Company for sponsoring today's video and helping make RNN's reporting possible. I am currently in Belgium, where I have been covering several royal events this week. I have seen the Emperor and Empress 3 or 4 times now, as well as the Belgian royals a few times. It has been an amazing trip, and I still have one final activity tomorrow along with a couple more videos to share. This trip has been incredible, and sponsors such as Tups & Company, Cowboy Classroom, and Cozy Earth make it possible. I am incredibly grateful for their support. Now, let's get into the latest as ever story. I had originally filmed an entirely different video, but then I saw the email and the Instagram post, and I was honestly left wondering, what are they doing? Meghan Markle reportedly has millions of dollars worth of inventory, possibly more than $10 million, and perhaps even closer to $20 million. Yet the marketing strategy for as ever continues to be some of the weakest I have seen. There are people who could clearly help guide this brand, but the imagery being used is strange, unclear, and simply not effective. As time becomes more critical for as ever, especially because many of its products have expiration dates, the brand needs to improve how it markets its products. While doing my own small Instagram experiment, I have been learning what works and what does not. I am still figuring things out and certainly do not do everything perfectly, but I can see the possibilities Instagram offers. There are so many creative ways to market products, especially through travel, storytelling, and engaging visuals. However, that kind of content requires time and support, and I would need an assistant to manage both royal coverage and travel content. Meghan has had major resources available to her, including Netflix and previously Spotify, yet the strategy behind as ever appears to be getting worse. The latest emails and Instagram video left me confused. How is trying to create a glamorous or seductive image with your hair supposed to sell fruit spread? The focus should be on the product, not on selling Meghan herself. That may be Meghan Markle's biggest mistake with this brand. She may believe that her personal image is enough to sell the products, but consumer brands do not work that way. People need to genuinely like the products before they buy them. When I visited a chocolate store in Belgium today, I found what may be the best chocolate shop in the country. Their sea salt caramel chocolate was incredible, and I bought several pieces to take home as well as some to give away as gifts. That is how products sell. People enjoy them and want to share them. Personality can certainly play a role in marketing. For example, if someone asks about the lipstick I am wearing, I can recommend it because I use it and genuinely like it. It is called Breathless, and it is a great neutral shade. But Meghan Markle is not talking about her products, using them, or demonstrating how people can enjoy them. For a while, other people seem to be doing much of the promotional work for as ever. However, the brand has not reposted customer content in quite some time. As a journalist, I follow the account to keep up with what is happening. After the initial launches, especially during the fall, people would post about how they used the products, and Meghan would repost their content. That no longer seems to be happening. Perhaps no one is posting about as ever anymore, although I have not done a full Instagram deep dive to confirm that. Meghan has an opportunity to promote the brand by showing people unique and creative ways to use the products beyond simply putting them on a croissant. Yet she seems unable to do that. Let's take a look at the last few emails, because they are quite revealing. The first email appears to tease Meghan and Harry returning to the UK, but the message is not especially clear. It came after the rebranding, or perhaps reimagining, of the brand in May. In the image, Meghan is sitting in a custom-made Oscar de la Renta gown that likely cost thousands of dollars while discussing summer hosting. But who is sitting alone at home in an expensive gown surrounded by colorful decorations? What exactly is the message? Visual cues matter, especially for a brand. I take a lot of photos as a royal commentator and reporter, and I love images where people are moving, interacting, and telling a story. Imagery is incredibly important, particularly for a brand that does not have much else to offer. Meghan Markle has not put much emphasis into the As Ever brand itself, which makes the images she shares even more important. The pictures are expected to tell the story of the brand, but many of them leave viewers confused rather than inspired. In one message, she says, "Summer invitations have a way of arriving all at once." She describes backyard dinners, impromptu patio gatherings, and tables that grow as more friends arrive. However, the imagery and message do not feel especially relatable. It is difficult to understand who these spontaneous gatherings are meant to represent, especially when the brand's overall messaging already feels disconnected. The email then encourages people to bring a bottle of the 2024 Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc to their next soirée, describing it as bright, refreshing, and perfect for long conversations. It also suggests bringing a hostess gift, including a gift box of fruit spreads and chocolates. But the wording is strange, including the unnecessary capitalization of gifted, which makes the copy feel poorly edited. The chocolates are also an unusual choice for a summer event. They were originally marketed for Mother's Day, but they did not appear to sell out. Now, at the end of June, they are being pushed again as a summer hostess gift. That raises another concern. Chocolate melts easily in hot weather. Europe has been experiencing extremely high temperatures, with some areas nearing 100 degrees and Paris expected to reach around 107 degrees. In that kind of heat, chocolate is not exactly the most practical item to carry or leave outside during a summer gathering. I have been thinking about this myself, because I have bought chocolate from several places during my travels, including Norway, Belgium, and London. I am worried about transporting it because it could melt on airport tarmacs or during travel between destinations. That is why promoting chocolate as a gift for an outdoor summer event seems like a strange decision. If it is left outside, it could easily melt. Meghan also recently posted an Instagram video featuring her wines. She seemed to suddenly remember that she had wine to sell. Wine can last much longer than food products, so there is less urgency there. In the video, viewers could see the Brut and Rose, but not the Sauvignon Blanc. After criticism over that, the Sauvignon Blanc was featured again. This appears to be her attempt at creating a summer hostess campaign, and perhaps even a subtle reference to a possible UK visit later this year. However, the email that arrived today may be what truly inspired this video. The subject was the art of summer grazing, and the image showed Meghan looking down while wearing an apron. At first glance, I thought it said the art of summer gazing, because the photo looks like Meghan is staring at her apron, the bow, or even her feet. The similar wording makes the message feel awkward, especially when the image itself is all about her gazing downward. The photo is also confusing. Meghan is not actively doing anything, and her apron looks completely pristine. It does not appear that she is cooking, chopping, or preparing any of the food around her. The image feels static and staged rather than natural or useful. Instead of showing the products in action, it simply creates another awkward visual that does little to sell the brand. The image shows Meghan gazing down at her stomach, while the caption refers to the art of summer grazing. If the theme is grazing, the photo should actually show someone reaching for food. There should be movement in the image, perhaps a hand reaching behind her for something from a charcuterie board, a cracker, a burger, or another item on the table. That would make the message clear. This is why imagery is so important in marketing. Earlier today, during the welcome ceremony outside the royal palace in Brussels, the king appeared to sneeze. It was a funny moment, but a photo of someone sneezing does not necessarily tell a meaningful story. In Meghan's case, the problem is even more obvious because the image should have gone through a marketing process where people asked, "What is the story? What is she doing? Why are we using the word grazing when the image looks more like gazing?" The email says, "The best summer tables are often the simplest," followed by a description of crusty bread, good cheese, fresh fruit from the market, chilled drinks, and small items guests can enjoy at their own pace. It sounds vaguely European, but the message does not feel particularly European or distinctive. The marketing language is confusing and lacks a clear identity. .it then suggests creating a board that feels effortless yet abundant by pairing raspberry spread with soft cheeses, orange marmalade with aged cheddar, and the honey duo with fruit, warm bread, or creamy chèvre. Everything can be packed into a basket or enjoyed around a shaded table while the afternoon unfolds. But this highlights the bigger issue with as ever. The brand is essentially saying that people should buy a spread and pair it with cheese. Anyone can buy a spread from almost any store and do that. There is nothing innovative or memorable being shown. It is the most basic possible use of the product. Meghan needs to be seen actively using her products and showing viewers creative ways to enjoy them. She could demonstrate recipes, pairings with meat dishes, entertaining ideas, or other uses beyond cookies and charcuterie boards. Simple can be good, but the brand has been relying on simple ideas for more than a year. And that approach does not appear to be working. If Meghan truly has millions of dollars in inventory to move, repeating the same basic marketing message will not be enough. She needs to show the products in action, create movement in the content, and demonstrate why people should choose as ever over similar products already available elsewhere. Then there is today's video, which is difficult to understand in almost every way. We also cannot forget the Father's Day breakfast in bed post. Meghan appeared to suggest a breakfast centered around bread and spread, but many viewers may not see that as a typical Father's Day breakfast. Some people may prefer a more substantial meal, such as bacon, eggs, pancakes, and coffee. Of course, breakfast preferences vary. In Europe, bread, spreads, juice, and cold meats are common breakfast foods. But the larger issue is that the campaign once again feels disconnected from what many consumers may actually want. An omelette may be something some people enjoy for breakfast, but it is not necessarily common everywhere. I had one in Sweden at my hotel, but I have not seen it offered often in other places. This once again highlights the strange disconnect in Meghan Markle's marketing. Is she trying to sell to Europeans or Americans? As ever is not being sold across Europe, so the focus should presumably be on American consumers. Yet the imagery does not seem to work for either audience. It is difficult to tell who the campaign is actually aimed at. The visuals are especially confusing. One image shows a basket described as a fruit of plenty, but the entire setup feels staged. In the promotional footage, Meghan is seen picking greens while wearing pristine white trousers and a large cocktail ring. Of course, most commercials and social media campaigns are staged to some extent, but this looks so artificial that it becomes distracting. There is nothing wrong with sharing polished content, but it should still feel believable. For example, I recently shared a real story on my Instagram about a bee that somehow ended up on my jacket, which was strapped to the top of my bag, and then made its way all the way to my hotel room. It was a strange and unexpected moment, but it was real. The bee appeared weak, and with some help, I was able to get it outside. That kind of content may not be glamorous, but it is genuine. By comparison, Meghan's basket scene looks like a performance. The fruit and vegetables do not even seem connected to products in the as ever line. There are apples, tomatoes, and perhaps kumquats, but none of that helps promote what she is actually selling. Then she gives the camera a small smirk, and the whole scene feels more like a fashion shoot than a product advertisement. Another image shows Meghan drinking tea against a plain white background, but there is no visible branding. The outfit looks unusual, and once again, it is unclear how the image is meant to sell as ever. The brand is supposedly centered around hosting, yet there are no guests, no conversations, and no sense of people gathering together. How can a hosting brand promote hospitality without showing any people? In another clip, Meghan appears to open a door and give the camera a side-eye glance. It may be part of a new photo shoot, but it does not translate well on video. Something that works as a still photograph does not always work as moving footage, and photographers and videographers often point out that the two mediums require different approaches. The real problem is the lack of a clear message. What is the viewer supposed to understand from these images? Meghan may be trying to find what works for her brand, and there is nothing wrong with experimenting. However, the current visuals do not appear to communicate a reason to buy the products. Strong brands use imagery to tell a story and create a feeling that encourages people to purchase. Major companies like Apple and Nike invest heavily in branding because they understand the power of visual messaging. I recently visited a Guess store and saw a Marilyn Monroe-inspired collection. The imagery worked because the campaign used a model with an old Hollywood look that helped sell the concept. A Marilyn Monroe collection placed in a random library, however, would not necessarily make sense. You could perhaps create a clever concept around it, but the image would need a clear purpose. As ever seems to have the same issue. It feels less like a product campaign and more like a modeling campaign for Meghan Markle. She is posing around the products rather than showing people why they should buy or use them. Meghan appears in these promotional clips with different accessories, her hair styled, and a cup of tea in hand. But there is no way to know whether the tea is actually from As Ever. There is no visible branding and no clear connection between the image and the product she is meant to be selling. It is similar to using a DJI microphone in the wrong setting. A compact DJI mic is designed for travel, vlogging, independent reporting, and content creation. It would make sense to market it to influencers, bloggers, and independent reporters who need portable equipment. It would not make much sense to market that same product primarily to large television news studios, because they already use more advanced professional equipment for their work. That is the issue with As Ever's marketing. I do not understand who Meghan Markle is trying to reach or what the purpose of the campaign is. Is the brand meant to feel European? Is it meant to be California-inspired? If it is neither, then the message becomes unclear. A focused California lifestyle brand may have made far more sense, but the current branding seems scattered and inconsistent. As the brand continues to struggle, Meghan needs to clearly define its identity. Otherwise, she could lose a great deal of money on the company and potentially be left with inventory that cannot be sold. A more practical strategy would be to sell as much existing inventory as possible, recover whatever money can be recovered, and then move on to a project she genuinely cares about. A successful business usually reflects something the founder enjoys and understands. While covering royal events in Belgium, I have been dealing with long, hot days and carrying a lot of equipment. It can be exhausting, but I enjoy the work, the unpredictability, and the excitement of it all. If I did not genuinely care about it, the effort would not feel worthwhile. That is why the As Ever campaign appears so unconvincing. Meghan does not seem passionate about the brand, and that lack of enthusiasm may be coming through in the marketing. She may be stuck with a concept that was heavily influenced by Netflix rather than something she personally wanted to build. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do not forget to check out Tubes & Company, and I will speak to you again very soon. Bye.